Mr. France here from Keyword. Now today we're talking the psychology of spending. And why is it very important? Now the psychology of spending is important because knowing why we buy what we buy can help us to make better decisions in the future. Now, it's better to know where your money has gone than to ask where your money has went. Because money management is knowing where you're spending your money today and having a well thought out plan in place for where you're going to spend your money in the future. But we need to understand the triggers of what triggers us to spend and exactly how do we spend the money. Now, first of all, let me explain to you what we spend our money on. Most of the time you make a budget and then you never know where your money has gone at the end of the month, or even mid-month, or even after spending. Because why? We spend our money on what we eat, what we drink, what we wear, and airtime. And you can also put petrol in there because we spend money on consumable items. And then we don't even realize that we haven't paid ourselves first. We haven't even done any savings. You know, there's a say that goes, we try to save what is left after spending, not to spend what is left after saving. Right? Now, if you are going to establish a good habit of saving first, paying yourself first, make sure that you save to invest in income generating assets before you can spend on what you eat, what you drink, what you wear, and airtime, then you are on your way towards creating wealth. Now let me explain to you what are the spending triggers. Why is it that most of the time you get into a shop and you don't realize that you went there with an intention to buy bread, now you come with the plastic full of all the other stuff, or you're pushing a trolley that you never planned for or thought of buying the goods that are in the trolley before. Now these are the spending triggers of why we buy. Now most of the time we buy things on what is called the approval spending. We buy things because we want to look cool. We buy things because we want to fit into a society, or we want to fit into a social cycle, because we want to get an approval that we're also cool. Now the other spending is we spend things on an achievement. Now the achievement spending basically means that you spend money on yourself or investing on yourself. Let's say you have a diploma, you want to spend money to get a degree. You invest in yourself. That's a good one, by the way, because you're also upgrading where you are. You're working hard on yourself, and like going to buy that book, that's an achievement spending, because then you are trying to improve yourself. Now the other one is admiration spending. Now this happens a lot to people that really go out and buy sort of designer clothes because you want to be able to look cool with those clothes in. You want to get an admiration from other people. You know, you want us to say, you know, that gentleman really wears nice clothes, or that lady really looks nice on those particular clothes, because you're always getting an admiration from people. The other one is relationship spending. We spend money on relationships and expecting nothing in return. Like, you know, buying your son those nice sneakers, buying your daughter those nice clothes because you want them to feel good about themselves and to show that you care about them. Or you're taking them for a vacation and spending money on the vacation, but you're not expecting anything in return. That is actually called relationship spending. And then the other one is amusement spending. This is where you spend money for adrenaline. You go out and do those things that you actually you love to do, you enjoy doing. Then they give you that adrenaline, and you are able to even fulfill whatever you want at that particular moment. Now the last time we feel the triggers of what we spend is responsibility spending. This is where you spend money on things because you feel like obligated, or you believe in a particular thing. Let's say you are at a church and you put down a tithe. That is actually responsibility spending. Or you spend money because you believe in a certain cause. You say, okay, let me contribute to this cause. That is responsibility spending. Now, because I've talked to you about the spending triggers of why we buy what we buy, now let me talk to you about the forces that actually govern why we buy. Because most of the time you get into a shop, like I said before, then you come up with a plastic full of all this other stuff because you didn't understand the psychology of spending. Now, a lot of people understand you. Let me give you an example. When you go into a shop, have you realized that the bread is actually put at the back, and even meat is put at the back? Now that is done deliberately so that when you go into a shop and then you push that trolley, you get excited by seeing all this other stuff on the shelves, and then you just put into the trolley, into the plastic, without really realizing that you didn't plan for it. Now when you come from the back and you go to the front, you'll find that there's magazines, sweets, and all those other stuff that is meant to just for you to pick up and put in the trolley. You end up with a receipt that has a lot of things, a lot of items that you have to pay, because then They understand the psychology of spending. And when you go outside, there's benches there for you to sit in, or food courts for you to buy food there and sit. Why? Because research has proven that the longer you stay at the mall, the more likelihood that you're going to buy or go back into the store and buy. Right? Now you need to understand the role of advertising, because they appeal to the sense that you need to get this. If you get our product, it'll actually solve this. That's another one. You see, like when you look at designer stores, they will appeal to you to say, okay, if you have bought our clothes, you will look cool, people will respect you, because they use that advertising role to make you feel cool when you have bought those designer clothes and you wear them. Now the other one is we try keep up with the Joneses. Now we don't understand this. You can compete with others. Wearing nice clothes is okay, but you can't win if you're competing with others, trying to look better, trying to drive a better car than the next person. You end up overspending because you're trying to keep up with people within you. And I see this a lot in employment setup in corporations. What you realize that one guy goes out and buys a Corolla, and then the next guy sees, oh, this guy has bought a Corolla. They want to buy a top of the range of the Corolla. Now this third guy realizes, oh, these guys are driving a Corolla, I'm going to buy a Mercedes-Benz. Now there's an underlying competition, an unspoken competition that goes within there. And most of the time, even with ladies, they compete with who wears the best clothes, who has the nice hair. But in actual fact, that delays you from achieving what you want to achieve. Try to stay away from competition. Make sure that you compete with yourself. Try to improve yourself to become the better person as you go along. Now the other one is the sales trap. You know how it happens, and that most of the time at month end there's always special. Now you always go to the shops and then you find something on special. Look, if something is on special, it doesn't mean that you can afford it. Because even if you buy it because it's on special, you have already spent money, and sometimes the money you didn't budget for. Now, everything is always on special. There's always a sale somewhere. So if you're gonna go with the sale, you end up spending so much money because you didn't realize that you have to make a budget before you go out and spend. Now, the other one is retail therapy. I see this happening a lot with ladies. You be stressed with your work or you're stressed with life, and then you go to the shops because you just want to shop. If you realize that most ladies have a wardrobe full of so many clothes, and one person can tell you, what, I don't know what to wear. I don't even have something to wear. But in actual fact, they have a wardrobe full of everything. Shoes lying down or on the closet or wherever, because there's this thing called retail therapy. You go to the shop because you want to solve a particular feeling within you. But you see, going to the shop to do that is actually temporary, because you will not solve that. After, it's like going to the bar to drink beer because you have a situation and you're trying to get over that situation. You don't realize that that's a temporary solution. When you get sober, then the problem is still there. Now, that happens with retail therapy. After shopping, the problem will still be there for you to solve. So you might as well face the problem head on. Now, the other one is instant gratification. You see, most furniture shops, that's what they use, because you want to have those nice couches now. Now they will tell you, get them now, but then you will pay them over time with high purchase, and they use compound interest. Why? Because you want things now. Most of us, we want things now, and we are failing to delay our gratification. Then we end up being in debt and unable to keep up with the debt. Why? Because interest comes in as compound interest, and we are also getting all these other things that we don't really need. Now we have to pay for the next 24 months or 5 years because we wanted them now. Now, when I talk about instant gratification, I'm telling you that patience also pays. You need to know that if you want something, budget for it. If, let's say, you want a TV that costs 1,000 pula, or let's say anything that costs 1,000 pula, why don't you just say, okay, I can get it in 10 months, and then I save 100 pula for about 10 months, and then I can get it cash. Because instant gratification actually kills a whole lot of dreams and actually defers a whole lot of goals. Now, in conclusion about the psychology of spending, let me just share something with you again. Have you realized that everyone, most shops or even the banks, they are giving you cards. They're giving you credit card. Or when you go to a shop, closed shops, they'll give you cards to swipe on. Why? Because they've realized that you spend a lot of money when you swipe than when you have the cash, right? Now, when you swipe, you just spend because you swipe. Now, that's a credit card. Even if it's not a credit card like the one at the bank, but it's still a credit card because you are swiping money, and it creates an illusion that you have money and you don't even have, because you're going to pay back this money later with interest. Now, you just swipe, you buy, and at the end of the day, you have so many clothes that you still owe. And if you bought something at 500 pula because you just swiped, now you have to pay a 700 pula because there's 200 pula interest in there. Hence, what is very important is for you to understand that those cards are actually putting you more into debt, and actually, you won't be able to keep up with those monthly payments as time goes on. So now you understand the psychology of spending. It's very important for you to understand where your money goes. I have told you about the triggers. I told you what you spend your money on, and I've also told you about the forces that governs our spending behavior. Now, I'm telling you, go out and apply these things. Go look out for these things. Do not spend your money unnecessarily. And in conclusion, I would like to say this: money management, like I said before, is knowing where you're spending your money today and having a well thought out plan in place for where your money is going to go in the future. Thanks a lot.
Contact us on 398-0321 or drop us an email at info@keywealth.co.bw. And check our website on www.keywealth.co.bw. Key Wealth, unlocking your financial success.